Guten Morgen, liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen. Die Sitzung.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The sitting is open. The next item on the agenda is Council and Commission statements, the power of the EU joint European action for more affordable, secure and sustainable energy. I'd like to remind you that you'll be able to request Catch the Eye and blue cards via your voting machine after having inserted your voting card. So I would invite you always to bring your voting card with you to the chamber. Instructions have been made available in the chamber. If you'd like to register for a Catch the Eye intervention, I would call on you to do that as of now and not wait until the end of the debate. I'd also like to remind you that interventions in the chamber will continue to be made from the central rostrum. That's not the case for Catch the Eye and blue cards, nor for points of order, however. So I would ask you to keep an eye on the speakers list and make sure you approach the rostrum when your speaking time is about to start. Given those words of introduction, I'd like to move on to the item on the agenda and invite Minister Clément Beaune to take the floor.
Madame la Présidente, Monsieur le Vice-président, Mesdames et Messieurs les députés,
Madam President, Vice President, ladies and gentlemen, members of the European Parliament, you know the abject and totally unjustified military operations in Ukraine are things that concern us on a daily basis. Amongst their many effects, we have problems with energy supply for Ukraine firstly, but also for the European Union and beyond. Amongst these effects, we've seen a substantial increase of gas prices in the EU, as well as an international rise in petrol prices, and also since autumn 2021 we've seen its effect on the economic recovery. We therefore needed a targeted recovery to ensure the security of energy supply and reduce as soon as possible our dependency towards Russia in cooperation with our international partners. Diversification of our supply becomes a priority now, which we're working upon. And there I would like to start by thanking the Commission for their recent proposals over the last months and over the last days. We know that we have to take into account reality. Today the European Union imports 45% of its gas from Russia and 25% of oil, 45% of our coal imports. Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, these issues were immediately debated by energy ministers under the French presidency of Council, with the organisation of an extraordinary council on the 28th of February last. That council made it possible to make it clear that EU ran no immediate risk in terms of supply. Security of supply is assured for the end of this winter and for coming months, both for gas and for oil. This is a strong, reassuring message that we need to repeat. But the Council also made it possible immediately to start coordinating a large number of necessary concrete measures supporting Ukraine, including synchronizing electricity system with ours, which is something we've been working on over the last days, and I think through our solidarity actions with Ukraine we should be welcoming this with Ukraine, but also with Moldova. This connection will ensure security of supply in the short term. The Council also looked at the toolbox that was presented in October last by the Commission, and the Member States on that basis introduced over the last months various measures to counter the hike in energy prices to actually reflect changing circumstances. But the question of our dependency on Russian gas is a highly complex one. It's the most important point. It's highly topical and obviously requires attention and more action. In Versailles, amongst the discussions of the heads of state and government on the recently such a debate took place on the basis of the Commission's REPowerEU plan. We need to accelerate our reduction of dependency. We need to diversify in a coordinated fashion the supply of our energy, and we need to speed up the energy transition measures. A dependent continent is a weak continent. We have to take that into account in the short term using the measures described, but also for the medium and long term, because apart from this attack, this war, the question of dependency has shown to what extent Europe cannot be sovereign unless it has an energy policy, amongst others, that's more ambitious. The Versailles discussions were essential and concrete, preparing the ground for the European Council meeting starting this afternoon. All of these subjects will be dealt with there on the basis of the proposals made less than 48 hours ago by the European Commission, reducing dependency, diversification of supply, extra investment that's required, ensuring that we can, in fact, master the prices, possible price caps, the way the market works. Nothing can be taboo in such exceptional circumstances. You know that, but I say that on behalf of the Presidency. Discussions on such a subject are sometimes complicated. We need a Europe to be independent of imports of fossil fuels from Russia. That's already a historic choice which will make it possible to shore up our energy sovereignty. We need to accelerate our efforts to increase European independence of fossil fuels, full stop, starting with gas, obviously. Diversification of sources and routes of supply, transition to clean, green forms of energy is imperative. We also have to take into account two dimensions in our energy strategy: the social impact on households, the middle class in particular, our economies, our industries. It would be counterproductive to weaken Europe when we're trying to reinforce it, and taking into account too the international dimension above and beyond the current war. We can't ask efforts of our economies if we can't ensure that they're respected by others. I'm thinking about the debate, for example, for the CBAM, which is very important, and there was a debate on this in Council a couple of days ago. This needs to be continued and speeded up. We really are coming to the very origins of the European project, because since the 50s it's been based on pooling energy resources. The mechanisms we're talking about today, pool storage, accelerating the transition, coordinated measures, all of these are mechanisms similar to those that actually were at the birth of our common effort almost 80 years ago. Thank you very much, and I'm at your disposal for questions and comments.
Thank you very much, Minister. Now, on behalf of the Commission, Executive Vice President Dombrovskis, you have the floor, sir.
Madam Chair, Mr. Minister, honourable members. First of all, thank you for welcoming me here today this morning. Commissioner Simpson apologises that she could not speak to you as she is participating at the meeting of the International Energy Agency in Paris. I know that last week she had a chance to present the Commission's REPowerEU communication to the ITRE committee. This communication has implications for every single EU citizen, so the Commission is grateful to have this opportunity to present it to you today. What we are seeing right now in Ukraine is an attack on some of the most important values. We are standing with Ukraine as it fights for its freedom. The war has had a ripple effect on Europe's energy policy and energy security. And it's now moving into a new era. It is now clearer than ever that we need to move even faster to reshape our energy system and bring our dependence on Russian energy to the end as soon as possible. We are not starting this work only now. Since 2009, when Russia stopped gas deliveries to Ukraine, we have been working to diversify and secure our energy supplies. Thanks to adequate regulatory and financial toolbox, we have succeeded in building a dense, well-interconnected and resilient energy network, which has effectively prevented damaging disruptions of energy supply, including under current difficult geopolitical circumstances. For example, we have worked to bring 8 new LNG terminals in the EU, and in January of this year, we imported more LNG than ever before. Even so, we are not yet there where we need to be, but we believe that this communication gives us the necessary plan to get there. The communication adopted on 8th of March has 3 main pillars. First, Repower EU, which is our plan to bring down our dependence on Russian fossil fuels well before the end of the decade. Second, on security of supply, immediate measures to improve our gas supply for next winter. And third, on affordability, a set of measures to mitigate the impact of high energy prices on households and companies. So I will go through all 3 pillars, and I will begin with Repower EU. As I said, the goal of this pillar is to phase out Russian fossil fuels. This is done with a special focus on gas by diversifying our supplies, massively investing in renewables, green hydrogen, and boosting energy efficiency. 2 weeks ago, EU leaders came together at the Versailles summit and agreed to the key principle behind Repower EU. We must be in charge of our own energy future. And that means that we cannot let any third country to destabilize our energy markets nor influence our energy choices. This year, we need to reduce reliance on Russian fossil fuels imported through diversification of supplies and greater reliance on LNG and energy savings. Over the next 5 years, and starting already now, we need to speed up our switch to renewables, increase energy efficiency, and develop new clean technologies like hydrogen. Renewables are a perfect solution for Europe. They are homegrown, they create jobs, and they spur innovation. They are a strategic investment in both our economy and our security and independence. On security of supply, we need to double down our efforts and make sure that we are much better prepared for coming winters. There are 2 facts about which we are sure. First, we are not yet ready to give up gas entirely. And second, if we continue to use gas as a transition fuel, as much as possible, that gas should come from non-Russian sources. LNG gives us an opportunity here to further diversify. At the same time, we could face an interruption of supply in Europe, and we need to make sure that Europe is ready to face that. Right now, we are emerging from winter into relatively mild spring season. So any disruption would not cause any major issues given the current levels of storage in Europe and of imports from alternative suppliers. What we need to do now is start getting ready for the next heating season, by which point it is crucial to ensure that our gas storages are full. And we have delivered on this with a gas storage legislation that was adopted this week, a proposal. Our proposal requires that underground gas storage facilities across the EU are filled at least 80% by 1st of November this year and 90% in the following years. To get there, it also sets some intermediate targets from February to October each year. Member States will monitor the filling levels on a monthly basis and report to the Commission accordingly. Having sufficient gas in storage facilities across the EU is joint responsibility and will benefit everyone. Member States without gas storage facilities are required to ensure that gas is stored in other EU countries corresponding to at least 15% of their annual gas consumption. As an alternative option, member States without storage facilities may instead jointly develop a burden-sharing mechanism with one or more member states with storage facilities. Furthermore, given the strategic importance of gas storages, we are also proposing an obligation to certify all underground gas storage operators to avoid potential energy security risks linked to the ownership of the storage facility. Owners of non-certified storage system operators will have to give up their ownership. This legislation is yet another example on how the Commission can deliver in lightning speed what is needed. I know I can count on you and on the Council to ensure a fast-track procedure and get this proposal adopted as soon as possible. In the meantime, Member States will need to start the refilling of storage capacities, and the Commission will coordinate this in the coming months. We have already set up a platform to do that. We are also ready to expand its tasks as necessary to create a fully fledged energy task force that could not only coordinate the refilling process, but also prepare the ground for a more structured energy cooperation with key gas suppliers. In parallel, we are reassessing scenarios for partial and full disruption of gas flows from Russia next winter to help Member States revise their gas supply contingency plans and better coordinate their efforts in a spirit of solidarity. What we can see clearly at this point is that there is a need for a more coordinated EU gas policy on buying, storing and responding to any supply disruption. This is also why we have stepped up our work with the Member States in a gas coordination group to reinforce regional cooperation and encourage new solidarity agreements. Beyond diversification, we are also working full speed to reduce the need for fossil gas in the first place, because fossil fuel markets have been proven to be highly volatile. This includes boosting renewables and energy efficiency. And it means more biomethane and renewable hydrogen, more innovation, heat pumps and solar panels on rooftops. It means getting serious about saving energy, which is one way that everyone can contribute to solving the current crisis. This is only going to work if we remove the barriers that are currently standing in the way of boosting renewables. Permitting is one of the biggest challenges we face. It is simply an issue of practicality. We cannot boost renewables to the scale we need if it takes years and years to authorize a single project. Therefore, the Commission will propose ways to simplify and shorten permitting and authorization, promote the take-up of corporate power purchase agreements, and develop a European solar energy supply chain. Third, the pillar of the communication is on affordability. Given the extraordinary circumstances we are now facing, Member States can temporarily regulate electricity and gas prices for households and micro-enterprises. The communication comes with detailed guidance on how to design these schemes. The Commission also just adopted a new temporary crisis framework for state aid, offering Member States options to provide short-term relief to undertaking by the Russian invasion in Ukraine, liquidity support in the form of public guarantees and loans, and finally, temporary support to alleviate exceptionally severe increases in price of gas and electricity. New support measures need sufficient funding, of course. One option is to use ETS revenues. From January 2021 to February 2022, emission trading generated €30 billion for national budgets. Member States also have the possibility to take advantage of windfall profits in the energy sector and tax them. The Commission is looking into all possible options for emergency measures to limit the impact of high gas prices spreading to energy costs for end users. Concretely, in line with Versailles Declaration, the Commission put forward options for exceptional and short-time measures, and these options will be discussed today by